Update. My friend invited herself on my trip and won't take no for an answer. Advice, please? Original post. My US friend group is pretty diverse, and we've all visited each other's home countries in the past 2 years. We either stayed in a hotel or a family home, depending on space. I, 21 female, am going to my home country for 2.5 months in the summer. All of my friends have known since Christmas, and all of them know it's not an open invite like usual because I'm not going for fun. I'm spending my time there with my family, and I'm going to be busy with my fiancé finalizing everything wedding related. So my friend, also 21, decided that she didn't want to go home for the summer and instead wanted to come with me, assuming she'd just stay at my family home like before. I told her that it really won't be a good time. Plus, we're not opening the family home for anyone outside of family this year, for a very good reason. Instead of accepting that, she asked about my other accommodations. I told her they're in use and not available. I didn't offer a hotel, and from the way she's been talking, she can't afford one right now. So instead of giving up, she said she can just go there and figure it out then. Which, in my opinion, translates to, I will fly there and make it your problem, so you have no choice but to accommodate me. I told her if she does that, she'll have to truly figure it out on her own, because I'm not budging or folding. She laughed it off and told me, obviously, because she didn't mean it like an ultimatum. I asked her if she's okay, if there's something going on at home or with her personally, etc., because it's not like her to do something like this. She said everything's good. I, however, feel like I'm stuck. If she goes through with her brilliant figure-it-out plan, she'll be a foreign woman in a country she's only visited twice before, with a guide, aka me, who doesn't speak the native language or understand the map, etc. I can't leave her alone no matter what I warned her I'd do. Advice, please? Now for the top advice before reading the update. I'd just be really direct with her. Hey, I know we usually travel in groups, but this trip really is just for fiancé and I. We're staying with family and we've got a packed schedule. I genuinely will not have the time to spend with you, nor space to accommodate you. And then just leave it. Don't share any more info about your trip, not the dates you're going or the flight you're booked on. She's an adult, and if she makes the choice to go down there on vacation, that's totally up to her. But she'll have to fend for herself because you've made it clear this was not an open invitation and you're not going to be entertaining or hosting her. The thing is that I've already told her all of this, but I think she thinks we're being over-dramatic or something. She doesn't know the exact date I'm leaving or my flight details, but she doesn't need to in a way. She knows the time frame, which is early July to early September, so she can technically fly there within that. I know that if she does go through with it, that I need to stick to my guns, but I will also be worried about her because it's the same person who's gotten lost in malls multiple times, lol. Then be very specific. Hey, I am not inviting you to come home with me, period. This is not a joke. You are not invited to come with me. I will spend no time with you if you choose to take a solo trip. Nothing else seems to be working, so you need to be direct. Mini update. So I took the advice and sent her a long text copy-pasted from one of the comments, with just a few things changed up. Then I sent another text to my friends' group chat, just to make sure again that they know it's not an open invite, and I wrote out why I'm making sure and what's been said between my friend and me. She left me on scene privately, but replied to the group chat that she's not daft. She understood me perfectly the first time, and what she decides to do with her time and vacation is none of my business. I told her that she should stop making it my business then, and stop telling me about her summer plans altogether if it involves my home country. She replied that I don't have a claim to the country, and that my family's reason for not opening up our home is stupid, and that we need to get over ourselves because it's not the second coming of Christ. I told her she's free to her opinion, just like I'm free to mine, and that, in my opinion, she's acting like an entitled brat. I added that she should lose my number until she's ready to apologize, tell me what's wrong, because she's clearly not okay in my opinion, it's not like her, and talk it out like adults. If anyone's wondering what she perceives as not the second coming of Christ, is my eldest brother and his wife welcoming their second baby in mid-July, and my parents, my other older brothers, and I being the village that we are, helping them while also spoiling my toddler nephew rotten lol. So, no guests or visitors are allowed outside of our immediate family while my sister-in-law heals and she and my brother adjust, per their request. Now for the full update a month later. Right, so I was asked to update when I made my first post, and I thought I would if she did end up coming after August or September. However, things ended up happening much sooner. We didn't talk for nearly 2.5 weeks after my last text, and I didn't see her much at hangouts since she was mad at the rest of our friends as well. They didn't exactly take sides, but they did point out that her plan was plain stupid. Anyway, she ended up coming to one of the girls' places for a group dinner, and we had a private-ish chat. She finally opened up about why she was acting like that, and as it turns out, she has a huge crush on one of my brothers, and was hoping she'd get him alone this summer and shoot her shot with him. It's annoying, but I've been used to having friends have crushes on my brothers and my dad my whole life, so I just let her talk. She admitted that she's been sending him DMs on IG trying to get to know him, but he's been politely cordial at best and ignores half of her texts. Then she started asking me about him, about his dating history, which had me disgusted because she wanted statistics on what he's into so she could figure out her chances. Then she asked me to help her out. She gave me examples of moments that happened on our last trip with me and my brother. Dancing, water fights, karaoke, etc. that I could help her recreate with him, which is just disturbing because she made my brother and me sound romantic, and it just amplified my disgust. When she was done, I told her that she needed to come out of her fantasy and back to reality. She was starting to creep me the heck out. I told her that the fact is, my brother isn't shy. If he were interested in her, he would act like it, and him ignoring her speaks volumes. Besides that, I told her that she knows I don't involve myself in any of my brother's relationships, and even if I did, I would never allow anyone to use me for insider information. Then I said that this conversation was over and to never bring it up with me again. She got mad and told me that I'm possessive and acting like a guard dog to my brothers, and that I need to get over myself because there was a spark between them on our last trip. I just got up, said bye to my friends, and left because she's clearly deluded herself into believing something that doesn't exist. On our last trip, my brother was so into someone he was seeing at the time. Anyway, I've cut her off completely, and with everything that's happening right now, she got scared of traveling and dropped her plans, according to what she told my friends. It sucks to lose her as a friend, since we were close and all that, and I don't know how it'll affect the group yet, but stuff happens, and I have too much going on to dwell on it right now. I, on the other hand, moved up my travel plans and will hopefully be back in my home country in the next few days, along with my family, which will allow us to celebrate my dad and one of my brothers on Father's Day. So, yay. We celebrate on the 21st there. Might want to warn your brother about her. Her obsession is creepy at best and could very well escalate if she continues to spiral into delusions. I already talked to him and he just shrugged it off. It makes sense for him, I guess, not to be worried since he doesn't live in the US and is only going to be in our home country for the planned time frame like the rest of us. Still a real possibility that she shows up at your house in the other country. She got scared with everything that's going on in the Middle East right now and put the idea out of her head. Still, even if she does somehow get to the airport, I'm a 100% sure she couldn't point a taxi driver north or south, much less manage to get to our home. Next story. How do I tell my friend that he'll never date an influencer-like girl? I have a friend, we're both 27 male, whom I've known since our freshman year of college. He's never really dated, at least not that I'm aware of, and he never seemed particularly interested in pursuing anyone seriously. He'd occasionally mention girls, but it was always in a vague or surface-level way. 2 years ago, I broke up with my long-term girlfriend and re-entered the dating world. That's been a whole journey of its own, but that's another story. Since then, he's started talking more about dating and women. I think he now feels like we're in the same boat, and honestly, I'm glad he's opening up more. Here's where I'm struggling. My friend is an amazing person, funny, smart, thoughtful, a great cook, and he has a solid job. But on a purely superficial level, he's not conventionally attractive. Some people might even consider him ugly. When we were younger, that kind of thing might have mattered more. But now that I'm dating again, I've realized how much broader and more complex attraction can be at our age. There are so many different kinds of beauty, and what I find attractive has definitely evolved since I was 18. Unfortunately, my friend doesn't seem to see it that way. He only seems interested in women who look like Instagram influencers, very stereotypically hot. And being brutally honest, those types of women are typically looking for guys who match their aesthetic, and he just doesn't fit that mold. It's starting to really hurt his self-esteem. Not dating is making him feel like he's worthless. I've tried to gently steer him toward more realistic and fulfilling possibilities. For example, a friend of a friend often compliments his cooking. I suggested he ask her over for a homemade dinner sometime, and his response was, "She's ugly." That really bothered me. At our age, I feel like we should be past this superficial mindset and actually see people for who they are. I don't want to shame him or be cruel, but I also don't want to sit back and watch him spiral because he's chasing an ideal that isn't going to happen. He's not going to date or hook up with a supermodel-type woman. That's just the reality, and it's okay. There's someone out there for him, someone who will love him for who he is. But he's blocking those possibilities because of his narrow idea of what's attractive. How can I talk to him about this without sounding condescending or mean? I want to help him see his own worth without reinforcing unrealistic standards. Any advice would be appreciated. Now for the advice. Sorry to say, but your friend sounds extremely shallow and immature. All he can say about a mutual friend who's kind to him is that she's ugly? Yikes. Clearly he isn't thinking through the advice you're giving him. I'd let him figure this one out on his own, considering you'll probably have to be very literal about your view of the situation. These women are out of your league and will not be interested in you. And then he won't listen anyways. He doesn't sound like he'd be a great partner to anyone right now. Yeah, ugly honestly kinda surprised me. If he'd said, "I'm not into her like that," fair enough. But that's really unkind and would impact my opinion of him. A grown man genuinely describing a friend as ugly is crazy to me. I would feel bad using that word on a lot of people I dislike. It's genuinely a middle school mindset. I find that guys like this often aren't chasing something they find attractive, they're chasing approval by other guys. They want a trophy wife. They want other men to see their Insta-model girlfriend as a status symbol. I think the best thing to do here would be to try and counteract that narrative in his head. Compliment women that are not conventionally attractive in front of him. If he calls someone ugly, no, she's not. She has a really pretty smile, or whatever. Don't engage in any weird lusting over bombshell women behavior. If asked, emphasize that social media isn't real, or dating a famous person must be super annoying, or that looks like that require a lot of upkeep. Hopefully, if you model healthy dating behavior, he catches on and comes back down to earth a bit. I think you are right with a trophy comment. You've put into words what I have been thinking for a time now. We all have insecurities, and his is this. Maybe he is looking for a way out of the insecurities, using women instead of actually facing the root problem. Last story. My girlfriend quit her job to become a TikToker. Now I am working 2 full-time jobs to support us both. I, 24 male, have been with my girlfriend, 25 female, for a little over a year. She's a single mom with a 5-year-old daughter from a previous marriage. I've never been married or had kids. And honestly, I never pictured myself dating someone who already had a child. But we connected really well, and I genuinely care for both her and her daughter. From the start, I told her I am not interested in marriage, and she said she felt the same since she had already been through a divorce. So we both agreed we didn't want to get married. Before this relationship, I was focused on school and work. At the time, I had a roommate, and we split rent and bills evenly. When my roommate moved out for a job in another state, I let my girlfriend move in with me since it made sense financially and we were spending a lot of time together anyway. We agreed to split bills 50-50, and for a while it worked. But a couple of months ago, she started making comments like, "My daughter needs a sibling, I want to have more kids, and we should get married." This started right after we went to her friend's wedding, where she even offered to help pay for ours if we had one. I didn't want to dismiss her, so I told her I understood how she felt, but I don't want to get married. She got upset and went to bed, and ever since then, things shifted. She became cold, distant, and borderline rude. That lasted for weeks, and it really made me start questioning our relationship. Not long after, she quit her job out of nowhere. When I asked why, she said she was just not feeling it anymore and wants to do something else. I tried to be supportive and assumed she'd be job hunting. But weeks went by, and instead of applying anywhere, she started hanging out with her friends nearly every day and told me she wanted to become a TikToker. I told her I didn't have a problem with her chasing that dream, but she should at least get a part-time job to help with bills. She claimed she was actively looking, but it's now been 3 months, and she still hasn't worked a single day. Anytime I ask about it, she gets defensive or starts an argument. I got so exhausted trying to bring it up that I stopped asking altogether. The problem is, I'm now working 2 full-time jobs while in school, just to keep us afloat. Rent, groceries, bills, everything is on me. And I'm drained, I'm stressed, and I'm starting to feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I care about her, and I care about her daughter, but this isn't what I signed up for. I didn't agree to be a husband or a stepfather or a sole provider, especially when we had an agreement and mutual understanding from the beginning. How do I ask her to move out in a way that minimizes drama, especially with her daughter involved? Is there a respectful but firm way to draw this boundary without it turning into a full-blown fight? Thanks for reading and taking the time to help. I've been carrying this quietly for a while, and it's starting to affect my mental health and motivation. I'm open to honest perspectives, even the tough ones. If you've been through something similar, I'd really appreciate hearing how you handled it. She is using you, and you need to put a stop to it. It's time for an ultimatum. She either gets a job or she has to move out. She has literally disrespected all of your boundaries around pushing for marriage and not pulling her 50-50 weight with bills. This pace you've set for yourself to keep everyone afloat is going to compromise your education and your future. It sucks for her daughter to have a mom like this, but you can't let this become your problem. She's shown you who she is. Time to believe her. Also, she's 100% going to try to baby trap you, so time to practice abstinence. Do not believe her about birth control. She's using him all right, but at this point, it shouldn't be an either-or situation. She needs to move out whether or not she gets a job. You're absolutely right. She's shown him who she is, and that's an irresponsible, manipulative user. She needs to get a job to support herself and her daughter, but she also needs to move out, period. Which I think is the conclusion OP has come to as well, because he hasn't asked how to fix the relationship, just how to get her out of his home, and good for him for realizing that. This isn't a situation for either she gets a job or she has to move out. She needs to get a job and move out. He's right to make it clear to her that she cannot be his problem anymore. He's already been more than generous supporting this woman and her child for months without ever consenting to that in the first place. Dude's too young to be tied down with her nonsense. Seriously, I'm guessing this girl is at least 2 leagues above the girls this guy normally pulls. Lazy divorcee with a child from another marriage? Yeah, she's a real catch.